is Aaron Rice with Jodar Farms. We're all-natural, free-range chicken, pork, and eggs.
My name is Pat Burry. I'm with High Altitude Organics. We're on 12.5 acres. We have about somewhere between 160 and 200 laying hens. I have about 200 meat birds, 20 pigs, 11 ducks. We have a separate compost for manure and a separate compost for like household scraps. Where we have our chicken compost, we let the chickens turn it, and when it gets about halfway, then we make a good turning, and then after a year it's put on our fields, either on the pasture or it's put on the garden.
What we do is we take all of our bedding and pile it up here, and then manure. I think one of the biggest problems maybe is the size of it, and keeping it able to turn it and things like that, because it does, you have to have a tractor for that.
Last year when we got tons of water in the spring, I saw some places of standing water, and in those places we use mosquito dunks. I use fly parasites and things like that too. If people are in an area where they have runoff problems, swales are your biggest, and berms are the biggest way to contain that. But then you have to worry about, when you do the swales and berms, you're going to have a problem with, it's almost going to create retention ponds if you don't have enough drainage. So you really, French drains can help. That's money. But French drains are one of the things that can keep water diverted, especially away from buildings and other water sources. You also have to be very careful. We don't have ponds or things here. You have to be very careful with fencing that off from livestock. It's very tempting to let the livestock just run in the pond. It's not a good situation either for the livestock or for the pond.
Given the number of animals that we do have here, animals do die, and so we have had to deal with this from day one. You know, initially we were burying them, but we found that wasn't really a real good way to dispose of the chickens, and so we actually compost them. We dig really deep down into our new hot compost, and then we lay them down there with some nice green stuff to add to the fuel, and you toss them into the compost pile and you let them sit for weeks, and then you come back through to turn it and they're essentially gone. It's amazing how hot the compost can get and how efficient it can dispose of dead animals. Luckily for us, given the way that we raise chickens, we don't have that much mortality, and so we don't have to deal with that on a large scale. You know, 1 or 2 a day is pretty common, and that's easy for us to dispose of given the amount of compost that we actually have.
Dead bird disposal has been an issue. We've composted, but what we find is that we've become a bait station for predators. A lot of what holds the dust down is the fact that we do have a ground cover of like decomposing branches, twigs, leaves, things like that.
We do have a little bit of dust issues, especially this year because it's been so dry, but wetting down the areas and keeping them out in grass has helped significantly.